Gentlemen.
Hello, and welcome back to Company of Heroes 2. My name is the Machine of the Gentlemen, and today I have a special guest. Some of you may know him. He's a pretty big deal. Hello, Imperial Dane.
Hello, everybody.
So Mr. Blake, he's on holiday at the moment, so this is my buddy coming to help me out. Don't want to have the content going dry. So this should be pretty interesting because I'm a bit of a biased Allied fanboy, and Imperial Dane is the exact opposite. He's a bit of a Axis Allied fanboy. Sorry, Axis fanboy, biased fanboy. So this should be fun. This should be jolly good. So let's introduce our players. On the left side of town, we've got Von Ivan as our Soviet.
Indeed, and in the north we got Otto Carius fighting for the Oberkommando West.
Nice. Alright, so very early Kubelwagen coming out of Otto Carius, looking to deny that field point. A good move, as it's generally rushed pretty early.
Yeah, but it's also a bit of a rarer one, I feel, from the Oberkommando West. But it makes sense. Still, usually most players just tend to already have flood the field with Volksgrenadiers.
Yeah, playing the north side of Lungras, it can be pretty hard because that cutoff is really easy to lose. A lot of times you'll see sandbags being built to try and hold it defensively, but I guess he wants to go the other way around. If he puts the pressure on himself, it'll draw the attention away from his own cutoff.
Pretty much in that regard, it certainly makes sense.
So he has stalled it for now. The engineers have been suppressed and pinned. This conscript's going to have to come up to deal with it. And looks like we're going to have a bit of a con spam coming on. 3 cons so far, 18 aids surely to follow. In this matchup, I really enjoy going for the conscript spam. I think it gives you just a lot more reign over the map. You can really put the pressure on and try and rush out those tanks. Whereas then it's also really easy to transition into dealing with the Kubelwagen with those AT grenades. Although a lot of Soviets like going tier 1, but I think you can definitely struggle with the Kubelwagen because penals just aren't very good against the Kubel.
Yeah, but then you usually get the M3A1 to deal with it rather than the Strafniki.
Yeah, and then they get the Raketenwerfer and there's a bit of a counterplay involved, but I think Cons is just a lot safer. He gets the rear armor on the Kubel, so he's going to have to force it away, and that's a really awkward sort of choke point where it slows it down and takes a while for it to turn out. So he gets a fair bit of damage dealt to it and will force it away. Has the AT grenades, looking for the Ura, couldn't quite get within range though.
Yeah, and he's going to follow up with Molotovs, so he's preparing for a bit of some heavy conscript play.
It's pretty early going Molotovs and AT grenades. He only has 3 squads, and he won't have much munitions either. And the Molotovs was actually revealed. He cancelled it mid-animation, so now if Otto was paying attention, he probably knows what's up and see those Molotovs.
And now we also got a doctrinal choice there from Von Ivan. He's going Shock Army, which also opens up for the submachine guns for the conscripts as well.
So it definitely makes a lot of sense. I think it's actually a very strong commander on this map, because Lungras it's very open, so it means that the Su-85s are actually pretty effective, whereas the majority of maps make it very hard to use the Su-85 because of how clustered with choke points, it makes it easy to get flanked and ambushed. And with this doctrine, you really have to rely on the Su-85s because you have no call-in tanks.
Yeah, you might certainly find yourself using the Su-85 more on the map with a doctrine like this, and certainly can sort of make up for it with artillery and shock tubes and heavy mortars.
Now, one thing we were discussing in the load screen as well is there was actually a bulletin on the 152mm howitzer. Not something you see very often, but it definitely does show that Von Ivan really wants the howitzer. Will he find the AT grenade on the Kubel? Hard to on the road, so he won't be able to.
Yeah, he can kick the speed up. Their vehicles, I believe, move faster on roads in Companies 2. At least they did in the first game.
Yeah, they do. Definitely. And conscripts won't. Infantry speed is the same. And we can see that Von Ivan doesn't have much territory. And it really doesn't surprise me at all. Seeing his 3 conscripts into double upgrades, he just doesn't have enough infantry to contest what's coming out of Otto. I really think he would have been much better off if he went 4 or 5 conscripts, then got his upgrades, or at least not the Molotovs straight away as well, because now he's struggling.
It probably didn't help he also went for the field infirmary. I mean, in terms of manpower, that's 2 conscript squads right there.
Yeah, it's just really early. He definitely did need them because he had some wounded squads, but I think he's really going to be punishing now, especially because once the defensive foothold is established, you can get those sandbags on the Volksgrenadiers. It does make it hard to push through.
And now we've got Otto Carius here with a much larger force. He's got 4 Volksgrenadiers, 1 Sturmpioneer and the Kubelwagen. versus 3 conscripts and a combat engineer, and that's a rather early advantage there to Otto Carius.
Absolutely, and one thing that the north side of Lunga makes it hard to do for OKW, there aren't really any good spots to establish that forward battle group headquarters. We can see now that he's actually put it in his base. Let's have a look at these engineers. He may even lose these to the Stim Pioneers on retreat. Very late retreat, but he should be fine. As I was saying, he's got the battle group headquarters in his base. And if you're playing as the south, you can put it behind that hedge really easily, and it's a really good spot. On the north, there isn't really anywhere where it's safe, because you can get hit by those AT guns. So I think it's definitely a pretty unbalanced matchup for the south faction, whoever's on the south map.
Yeah, might so. But otherwise, Otto Carius is pushing pretty aggressively across most points there, and pressuring von Ivan there on his few resource points.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see some more sandbags, though. It really makes it hard to push through. When there's sandbags set up, you really have to try and flank them, which, when you have a Kubel driving around, it can be hard to do so. So still only 3 of these conscripts. Looks like he's going to be saving up for some shocks, because he has both the heavy mortar and the shock troops available once he gets to command points, which is very, very soon. But he is going for his tier 2, which is interesting, since he basically now has the CPs for one of those call-ins.
No, he might aim for either a Maxim or a field gun.
There's the shot.
At the same, and we can see here that actually Otto Carius is beginning to worry about any vehicles. He's getting Panzerschrecks and Raketenwerfers to try and deal with any sort of potential vehicles.
Strange. Yeah, because there isn't any... really isn't any fuel. So there wouldn't be any vehicles other than an M3. So...
must be that what he's expecting.
Yeah. But he's in for a nasty surprise when he sees shock troops. That's pretty effective against this infantry focus thus far. The Kubel's going to be very, very important against these shocks. Nades go through very powerfully. May even wipe the squad on retreat. Yeah, the Flamer gets a crit. That's going down. Okay, that's really great news for von Ivan.
That's a good move there. That's definitely going to hurt Otto Carius.
Yeah, it looks as though Otto was microing on the right side as there was a conscript squad, so he wasn't watching and couldn't dodge that grenade. Shocks is hard to get squad wiped because they have the SMGs, but if you can land the grenade, then the squad is so weak that's easy to do so. This Raketenwerfer is getting wiped as well.
Yeah, and he's losing the center cutoff point. This is really going quickly ugly here for Otto Carius. He might have overextended.
Once again, he's just not really paying attention. There was an engagement on this fuel point, which he was obviously microing. So Otto Carius showing that he's not very good at controlling multiple fronts simultaneously.
Well, certainly something might have distracted him. Either way, he's just handed von Ivan an anti-tank weapon.
Yeah, and the good thing about the Raketenwerfers is you can just retreat them. So it's a lot easier to steal them than it is compared to packs, where then you have to waddle it all the way across the map. So that's going to help out against the Raketenwerfer, and it means that von Ivan won't have to build his Zis gun. It still is a lot nicer to have a Zis than the Raketenwerfer because of the longer range. It's going to be hard to actually use that Raketenwerfer against the Kubel, but it will give him a fair bit of extra safety with all of those AT grenades, and the heavy mortar has come out, and this really is a great map for the heavy mortar. You can basically just camp it behind that hedge and have it able to bombard most of the map.
Well, it's generally a good position for any mortar to be positioned right there behind the hedge and just, well, pelt anything north of it.
And the battle group headquarters is going down. Sorry, the Panzer headquarters on that field point. It's going to be very hard to push back when that's already established. But it is out in the open, so it can get sieged by those Zis guns if he gets caught out of position.
Indeed, but more likely, I imagine, Kanal will just go for the cutoff point instead and pressure there.
Yeah. It's interesting that he didn't put it on his cutoff. Especially when he has that heavy mortar to support it. So the Raketenwerfer is moving out, and I haven't tested it before, but I'm going to assume that the Raketenwerfer can't outrange a Panzer headquarters, unlike a Zis or an M1.
I think they have about the same range, and it's going to need something to basically distract the attention of the Schwerpanzer headquarters.
Yeah, he's found it. Takes those cons down very quickly.
Yeah, they were caught out in the open, and they were also a bit bunched up. Oh! Grenade on the Raketenwerfer.
And the heavy mortar's firing. Wow, nice shot on those Volksgrenadiers. He's going to have to retreat though straight away.
Quite so.
So the map definitely has come back for von Ivan. And he's looking very strong now because he has the support of this heavy mortar. Otto, he has to be careful. He can't really engage under that fire, he can start to lose those squads quite easily. Nate is coming through from our shocks. Will be dodged though.
We got a loops on the way there for Otto Carius. That might be a bit up from there for Ivan, who's only got a kid to try and deal with that.
I think that's a good move. He's had the field advantage for quite some time. He is just starting to lose it now, but it's going to give him a lot of map control. The Zis is coming out already, and that nade's going to be very powerful. I did nothing actually, but that Raketten Werfer is pretty low. I think the double Zis is smart because he saw the Panzer headquarters. So he knew that there was definitely the possibility for that Panzer II, the looks. And given how much the field advantage was going towards Otto, he definitely was able to afford it pretty quick. And with the Panzer II, you need to have a lot of mines, and I think 2 AT guns is a good amount because it's just so fast and so mobile, and it can squad wipe very easily. It's going for this garrison. There is a Raketten Werfer, but both the garrison and the squad is quite low, so he may lose it.
But at the same time, he just needs to get the console close enough for an anti-tank, in which case it will be caught right front there.
Wow, what a way to throw away a Panzer II.
Well, he probably wasn't expecting for Ivan to pop out of the building there with the anti-tank grenades. And there we go. That was a quickly wasted light tank.
Yeah, and that's a huge blow for Otto. He doesn't really have anything going for him. He's lost his infantry superiority. He doesn't have the vehicles anymore. Unless some Oberassault... Wow, he did that Shrek wipe. He just killed 2 conscripts on retreat. Definitely what Otto needed.
Nice shooting there, Dieter. And now looks like Von Ivan's moving up a field gun to try and wipe out the Schwerpanzer headquarters.
Out of position, I think. He's going to get caught off by those Volksgrenadiers. He doesn't have anything to get vision for it either. When you just attack ground through the fog of war, you just miss so much. You really need to have something given vision on it.
Indeed.
So very aggressive caps coming out of Otto, but against the shocks, he really can't send these Volksgrenadiers 1 squads at a time. He needs to group them up or have the support from the Kubel because shocks can be so deadly.
Indeed, and otherwise he's running quite the gauntlet there. There's just a lot of Russian infantry. In this case, the Kubelwagen does end up saving the day, but that could very easily end up in another squad wipe.
The other thing as well that Von Ivan could do is if he positions his heavy mortar a bit more to the southeast, he could just leave the heavy mortar attack grounding on that Panzer headquarters. It takes a while to kill it because it misses very often, but eventually it will take it down, or at least force the repairs to come out. And if you're trying to repair it with Sturm Pioneers underneath the heavy mortar, you can lose that squad very easily.
Yeah. We are getting some orbitals down there though for Otto Carius, and he's actually gone for special operations, so he could in theory equip them with the infrared Sturmgewehrs.
And that's actually quite clever, I think, because then the Obersoldaten become very, very dominant against those shocks. Because normally shocks have their close range advantage. If they get up close, they will definitely force off those Obers. But when the Obers get SMGs, they then not only do more close range DPS, they also then still have that medium range advantage. And it can be a pretty strong counter to those Kubels.
Indeed. I mean, with Obersoldaten, with those Sturmgewehrs, you could pretty much win the fight versus all the infantry, considering how little support Von Ivan has for it.
Definitely. It will chunk away at the munitions, 120. So it means there'll be less Shreks on the field, but he already has 2, and only has 1 squad left to equip the Volksgrenadier Shrek. Planning a demo charge, it looks as though it was scouted. Otto, he would have seen it be placed, so he should get a minesweeper for that one. He did lose his Sturm Pioneers, so he needs to rebuild that one. Or if he wants to be clever, he can just attack ground with his Shreks, and eventually it'll detonate it.
Yeah. That's also very much an option.
So finally the Obers have hit the field, and they're going to be shredding these shocks as we can see.
Indeed, but it doesn't look like he's aiming for the Sturmgewehr since he's popping grenades left and right.
Yeah, it will definitely delay them for quite some time. Those Volksgrenadier grenades are not cheap, especially with the munitions handicap. This mortar has 10 kills, so it's doing pretty okay for itself.
Yeah.
But these AT guns getting caught out of position, and Obers are very, very effective at wiping AT guns. The Raketten Werfer is going to be fine with the retreat, but the Zis not quite so lucky.
Yeah, that might be something that might help Otto Carius a bit there.
Nice. So trading a Zis for a Raketten Werfer, and definitely going towards Otto. The Zis gun is going to be a lot more valuable than the Raketten Werfer.
Yeah, at least unless he could have managed to get some good veterancy on the Raketten Werfer, in which case the Raketten Werfer becomes stronger, but the trick is getting it there.
Yeah, definitely. That being said, though, there is a 6-man crew for the Raketenwerfer on the side of Von Ivan because he is Soviet, so it will be easy to keep it alive. But when you're going to be versing infantry such as Obersoldaten, it's going to be a lot more ability to wipe them. And this is funny. Have a look at the Zis gun. It has the icon for the Pak 40. That's incorrect. Ha ha ha.
Actually, here it's got the icon for the third field gun. It's actually usually the
Pak 40
American
for me.
anti-tank gun.
Like the unit portrait. The portrait, sorry.
Oh, the portrait, alright, yeah. The unique icon, it's usually more the American anti-tank gun, which also gets this icon. But portrait, yeah, it's the Pak 40 there.
So we have the tier 3 coming out. So that's from Von Ivan. So he's going to be able to go for a T-34. And that strikes me as quite interesting. Because he doesn't have any call-in tanks, he's going to need to have some Su-85s for that hard-hitting AT in the late game against the Panther. That was a very nice mortar shot. Shock's not quite able to close it. And so with the T-34s, it's going to be hard to deal with a Panther when it eventually comes out, especially with the Command Panther from this... Sorry?
But if he can bring the T-34 on the field faster, he can pressure Otto Carius much more before that, making a Panther less viable, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. But when there's already 2 Shreks and a Zis, I think it's a little bit late for the T-34. I think he's going to have a hard time actually using it. So long as units don't get caught out of position. If Von Ivan has lone squads, sorry, if Otto has lone squads, you can chase them down. And even if it's a Shrek squad, you can just push them so that they can't actually fire their Shrek. But I think given the map of Lungers, and there's generally a lot of grouping up, it can be hard to use it. It is going to be very valuable against the Panzer headquarters, because then you can use the T-34 to give sight for the AT guns, so then you can start sieging it. But with only the Raketenwerfer losing his Zis, it will make it harder to take that one out. And he doesn't actually... Oh, nice wipe on that Volt squad. He doesn't actually know that the Special Forces has been locked in. And if he's able to deny the Panzer headquarters, it will deny that Panther, but not with the Command Panther coming soon.
Indeed. Though there's still going a bit of time before they go.
Oh, look at these shocks. Oh, the Vet 2 shocks were wiped. Von Ivan not paying attention, and this T-34, I think it's a little bit too deep. It's going to be taken quite low by both the Zis and that Panzer headquarters. Wipes the Zis, fortunately. Raketenwerfer gets the side, doesn't miss off to the side. The Panzer headquarters, it can penetrate quite consistently. The Raketenwerfer is firing from Von Ivan, doing a lot of damage. The Volks are moving in, and the Raketenwerfer has been suppressed, so we'll have a much less rate of fire. Can the T-34 escape? It looks like it can for now. But he's going for the Panzer headquarters. He wants to kill it. This is going to be close. They're both getting very low here. The T-34 looks like it will barely escape. Here come the Obers. They don't have any AT by any means. The Raketenwerfer gets taken out. Oh, the Raketenwerfer's recaptured. He may wipe that T-34 once it fires. Will it hit? It does, and there goes the T-34 alongside that Vet 2 Combat Engineer Squad. That was a really disastrous play for Von Ivan.
Yeah, that rather cost him a lot without really getting anything serious in return for it.
I think what he should have done, he wanted to kill the Panzer headquarters, and that was definitely a good play to make. But when he saw the Zis, he should have backed away. He shouldn't have gone, yep, I can kill the Panzer headquarters through a Zis. I think that was a little bit greedy. I think when he has the heavy mortar, and especially when he has a commander that has a howitzer, he could use that to just bombard it from afar quite safely. Still, it's very low, so he may be able to wipe it now with the heavy mortar.
Yeah, he's actually gaining a second one. So I think he might just try and do it that way.
It's going to be hard to keep those heavy mortars alive when there's no infantry, only 2 squads of conscripts. They are veteran C3, so they're going to be great against the Volksgrenadiers, but not against the Obersoldaten. And it looks as though Otto actually lost his squad of Obers. Did he use that to get the Raketenwerfer?
They made
it sorry, no, they're there. Never mind.
So Volksgrenadier squad, he wasted on it, and he's actually now getting Sturmgewehrs on the Obersoldaten, so they're going to get more lethal. Yeah,
especially at veteran C2. I think it's 40% accuracy. It's a big difference at the Vet 2 for the Obers. Double heavy mortars are going to be sieging this Panzer headquarters. Sturmpanies are repairing, but this looks like... Yeah, this looks like it's a lost cause.
Yeah, that's going down.
Still, they are pretty inaccurate, but eventually they'll get it.
Yeah. And they might get the Sturmpioneers in the process.
There is a precision barrage available, so if he wanted to, he could precision barrage the Storm Pioneers to get that guaranteed wipe.
Yeah. I'd say the 12 would be worth it.
Yeah. So we do see the Volts coming through to take out the Mortar. Volts Grenadier is not going to be very effective against them. You really want to have Storm Pioneers or Obers against those. Another thing about the STGs is they're going to be really great at wiping the Heavy Mortars if they get caught out of position, which we do see them marching in now. These Volts getting a little bit too close.
Too.
Yeah, this is going to be bad news. Retreats them straight away. Here come the other squad of Obers. Nades coming through. Nice dodge from Otto. The Shocks were buying time for the Mortar retreat, but he's not out of Scott just yet. And that's the Veterancy 2-1. Doesn't want to lose this one. The Mortars have a very long pack-up time if the guy carrying the Mortar is wiped. He's able to escape this one and he's rebuilding a T-70. Man, this is going to be risky because Otto, he has the feel for his Command Panther. Doesn't quite have the manpower yet, but he's going to have it quite soon. And there's actually 0 Zis guns on the field. There's no AT guns at all. All 3 of those guns have been taken off by Otto. So I really don't see how Von Ivan's going to be able to deal with this Command Panther when it shows up.
Indeed, he must be thinking he's just going to risk it just punishing the infantry on something happens. And that's why he's getting the T-70, and I would have recommended that early, actually.
Yeah, I think a really early T-70 can be nice, because you can generally rush it at a time when there aren't many squads that actually have those Shreks. And also, you can get it at a time where there isn't a Raketenwerfer or only one Raketenwerfer. But now there's 3 AT guns, 2 Volt Shreks. They have a lot of veterancy as well. It's going to be really hard to use this one. It will be great for chasing off those Obersoldaten and also giving vision for those heavy mortars. But can he keep it alive against so much AT, especially with that Panther showing up?
Yeah, the question is, of course, he's getting a second T-70.
What? Oh my god, what's going on?
He's really going to see if he can't just basically murder Otto Carius' infantry before anything else happens.
Oh, look at this demo charge.
For a regular Panther.
Demo charge, it may cut off the Obers on retreat, but they won't be retreating against this conscript squad. That is odd, a regular Panther over the Command Panther. Is there really any advantage for the regular Panther? I don't think there is.
I think regular Panther has better veterancy bonus, obviously that affects the tank itself. I mean, the Command Panther, essentially at a certain point, the bonuses only affect everything else.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I think the Command Panther is stronger to use because it has the increased sight, so you can generally make use of the extra range. Heavy Mortar's going to get hit by a nade.
But at the same time, not lose the focus there to the T-70s.
Yeah, he gets away.
He's not pursuing, he's not pursuing!
Shocks were trying, but the Shocks have to be very close in order to get those wipes. Obers have taken out 2 of these models. What are they doing? Dodging a grenade that never came.
Panther got finished, he didn't get in to take out the Schwerpanzer at quarters.
Oh yeah, maybe that's why he went for the... Why he wiped that Volsco with a grenade. Didn't quite retreat that one. I think actually that's probably why Otto Carius went for the regular Panther, is so that he can then call in the Command Panther afterwards, rather than having to rebuild his Panzer headquarters to rebuild that regular Panther. But he may lose a Vet 2 Shock Squad again in the exact same place that he lost it. Can the Obers wipe it? He needs... Oh, yep, he gets it.
Yeah, that was pretty much no way of escaping that. They had too little health and they were up against those with assault rifles.
This looks like this game is getting worse and worse for Von Ivan. I really don't see what he has left. There's no AT on the field. The Panthers aren't fantastic against infantry, but they will be fantastic against these T-70s.
Well, he's getting with a pincer mount machine gun on. The Panther can actually do all right versus infantry, in particular conscripts.
They're good against shocks, because then if you have, say, an Ober versus a shock engagement, you can use the Panther to push the shocks, preventing them from firing. You generally don't want to do that against conscripts because you'll get hit by an AT grenade, but it's very safe to do so against those shocks because they have no way of retaliating.
Indeed. But I rather think basically for Ivan's strategy now is just to punish Otto Carius' infantry as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
With those 2 T-70s.
It's not like he's ahead on VPs either. He can definitely catch units out of position, and T-70s can wipe units very, very nice. He's going for a move on the right side, going for these Obers.
Yeah.
There is a Raketenwerfer overwatching them though.
Oh, here Otto Carius moving his Panther straight into the enemy base, so that was a bit risky.
Definitely. Because if he gets caught by an AT grenade, and if there's like a Zis gun nearby, which he gets reborn, they can do a fair bit of damage. T-70's duking out the Panther.
But he might actually lose his orbital dart and the assault rifle.
And that was being caught out of position. Yeah, he's going to lose. Wow, he loses that. Nice work. And the AT grenade lands in that rear armor, so it will prevent the Panther from chasing those T-70s down. Definitely a nice play from Von Ivan. Sorry?
And we got a field gun arriving as well, so Von Ivan is turning this ship around.
Ship. Is that what it is?
Well, sort of more, you know.
Battlefield. The fields of Lungraskaya.
Yeah, I was using a metaphor.
Okay. One on a submarine. That's a more exciting metaphor.
Well, that's usually not how it goes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Bloody Australians.
I won't question you ever again.
Splendid, that's how it's supposed to be.
We do have the mechanized regiment headquarters coming down for Otto Carius. Looks like he's going to be going for the King Tiger. I think that's a very sensible move, as the King Tiger is going to be a lot better against infantry and against AT guns than what the Command Panther would be. There is the IL-2 Sumovic Strafe. Not going to be fantastic, but he will wipe that Zis gun with the conscript. That's great news for Von Ivan, as he already has one built, so he will have a total of 2 of these AT guns now. Can the Panther wipe it? It's very, very low, so the Pintle will shred through that wounded Zis crew, but it's nowhere to be found, as it does need to have its engine repaired.
I think he just lost his other Zis to the Sturmovik. He just crashed down directly on the crew.
Oh wow, he must... yeah, he must have done. Oh dear. Yeah, it's there, the wreck's down. That's quite unfortunate.
Indeed.
Coming to Heroes 2, hashtag esports. That sucks.
That was a bit of a tragic development.
Yeah. Now, I think the thing for Von Ivan here that's really crippling him is he doesn't have Sturm Pioneers. So what that meant is once that AT grenade landed, he couldn't use the Panther. The Panther's been doing nothing, and what it's doing is it's allowing Von Ivan to have free reign of this map. Because he has the double T-70s, he can go around forcing off squads and capping the map back, and that shouldn't happen. When you have the Panther, you should be able to lock down the map and prevent these plays. So I do like the fact that the mechanized regiment headquarters came out to have those repairs, but I think a Sturm Pioneer squad should have been built a long time ago, just to have the repairs preemptively.
Getting a Puma now to try and sort of deal with the mobility issue versus the T-70s.
It's interesting. I don't really like that. I think he already has the Panther. Like, that's enough.
And clearly, Otto Carius thinks differently from you.
Yeah. I mean, it will be nice. It will definitely lock down the T-70s, but then he's going to have to then micromanage the Puma around those Zis guns. It's just, he has the King Tiger like to look forward to. I think it's just going to be taking away, stalling out, I guess is the better term for the King Tiger.
Indeed, he's not even trading resources at the moment.
So a T-34 has come out. It will give him a little bit more of a response to the Panther, but especially against the Puma now, it's going to be very handy against having that T-34. It's hard to play the T-34 against the Puma because it does outrange you, but if you are able to get up close, you will kill it in a straight-out engagement.
Pretty much. We got the Panther coming under fire from the field gun. We got another pair of assault rifles for the orbital dart.
Oh, that was wiped by the heavy mortar. Man, this is not that great anymore for Otto. He's losing a lot of these squads to that heavy mortar. It's definitely become very valuable. 22 kills on that heavy mortar and 6 on the other one. And as the heavy mortar is now Veterancy 2, it will have a lot higher accuracy and rate of fire. And that makes the heavy mortars become so much more powerful because they're going to be squad wiping a lot more consistently because they have that extra rate of fire and accuracy. So it makes them just so much more potent. You really have to be careful about leaving squads still under that heavy mortar fire. And so far, Otto has been ignoring it. He's been fighting these engagements underneath the heavy mortar and just pretending that it doesn't exist.
Indeed, and now he's suffering pretty heavily in the infantry department. Vehicularly, he's looking reasonably alright. But there's definitely a struggle ahead there for him.
Let's see how he plays this. because he does have a 1 vet 5 Volk squad, which is going to be very valuable, but that's really it. He needs to have more of these Volk Shreks, I think, to have the ability to deal with both the conscripts and with the T-70. Obersoldats are going to be very hard to use at this stage. When there's 2 T-70s and a T-34, I think it's probably not worth even trying to rebuild the Obersoldaten.
I don't know, actually. I think Obersoldat might be the wiser choice. If you can use them to bait the T-70s into things, you might have a good chance there, but right now it looks like it's... Yeah. And now we got vehicles operating on the left flank, but we got Von Ivan getting ready to strike on the right flank.
It's such a weird game. This is just everything against the current meta. The meta now is very infantry spam and blob. This game, there's actually more vehicles than there are squads. It's like for both members. It's funny.
It's certainly not the usual kind of thing.
Just because they've been losing so many squads across the board.
Yeah, pretty much. But also the way that Otto Carius, for example, has chosen special operations, which is one of the more rarely used doctrines.
I like it. I think it's very strong. The Command Panther definitely offers a lot of anti-vehicle play. So we do have the double T-70 going for the Kugel. They do get the wipe on it. The Raketenwerfer not quite able to take the T-70 in return, as it does back away out of that maximum range. Here comes the Panther and the Puma. This one could quickly turn around for Von Ivan. That T-70 looks like it will drop, and there goes the T-34. The Stubovic comes through, will do a lot of damage, and will wipe the Puma.
Oh. Puma down, but still, the armor losses are definitely not in the favor of Von Ivan.
Oh, there goes all 3 of these vehicles. Double T-70 and the T-34. Panther may get hit by the AT grenades. This is nearby. I think he's waiting for the rear armor. He blitzkriegs out. No AT grenade follow-up.
He didn't have the munitions.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he used his munitions on that strafing run. And we did have a squad wipe. Von Ivan lost his conscript squad on the left flank somewhere, it would seem. So now he only has 1 squad of conscripts.
And now we're getting a Stuka Sufus from Otto Carius.
Nice. I think that's a good move. Because the only AT that's going to be effective is these Zis guns. T-34s just won't scale against Panthers. And with the Stuka, it's going to be really great against those Zis guns. It's hard to use Zis guns when there's a Stuka nearby, because you have to always be moving it.
Yeah. On the other hand, if Von Ivan gets enough T-34-76 built up, he can take out the Panther by simply swarming it.
He will need 3, I think. 3 T-34s, but then when you combine in the Volksschrecks and the Raketenwerfers, it's quite hard. You have to go very deep, because you have to get the rear armor, because you just won't penetrate the front armor consistently, especially once you get the Veteran C2 giving you that armored skirts. It's so hard to penetrate the frontal armor of the Panther with only the T-34s. You may lose the Raketenwerfer in the garrison, though. That garrison is looking very, very low.
It is, but so
he loses it.
Yeah. Also, it's starting to really look like basically the heavy mortars are carrying Von Ivan in this battle.
There's the Stuka.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. Gets the wipe. So immediately having very powerful. Yeah, these heavy mortars are absolutely keeping these Von Ivan in the game, because I think Von Ivan is losing his squads to just kind of being outplayed, where Otto Carius is losing his squads to standing underneath heavy mortar fire for far too long. So I think they're both losing their squads when they kind of really shouldn't. Like, they could easily avoid these, but there's so many things happening in this game. This game is all over the place. There's a lot of action, and it can be hard to keep track of these squads when there's multiple fronts and multiple engagements happening simultaneously.
Yeah, we got a T-70 there for Von Ivan. Again for Von Ivan, so again there's this very focus on killing infantry, bleeding out the Oberkommand West that way. Because if there's no infantry, then he has very little to worry about there otherwise.
A bold move. I think it's very confident that Von Ivan can really deny the infantry enough that he can win on VPs. He actually isn't doing too bad. The VPs have been drained down a fair bit. Only 266 VPs for Otto. But the longer this game drags out, the harder it's going to be. With the Stuka, he can't rely on Zis guns. He doesn't have the infantry advantage, so he can't rely on infantry battles. I don't really know what he has going for him. Really, it's just these heavy mortars. And again, the Stuka is going to be very strong at denying and wiping those heavy mortars.
Yeah, but on the other hand, he's actually moving ahead. The Stukas are Foost, and if Von Ivan can catch that with his tank, he can knock it out.
I think he was maybe looking for the base
There we go. He
rape.
made the mistake. He moved it up there. He's moved it up far to it, and if Von Ivan reacted, he put behind the gun with his tank.
I think he was looking to bombard the base, or maybe it was just a misclick.
Yeah, that's very possible. That is very possible. Well, now there's veteran defend one of the heavy mortars.
Gives a lot of extra range. Not really that much of a huge deal, as Lungers is a relatively small map, and it's pretty central, and heavy mortar already has a lot of range. Vet 3 is just fantastic on a regular light mortar because that range is so valuable. But on heavy mortar, it's not really that fantastic, to be honest.
Well, it can allow him to basically cover the entire map with his base, more or less.
Yeah. He can play more defensively with it, which I think may be pretty valuable now, as the hedge has basically been eliminated in the middle. So you can't camp it there as safely as he was doing earlier in the early game.
That should also, I think, give him more range in the Stuka Sufus, which should make him a bit safer.
Still, the map is pretty even. With a lot of vehicles and with not much infantry, it's hard for either player to really cap the map as aggressively as they would like. I think this may just come down to the classic middle VP Lungerskaya game, where they basically have their own VPs and it comes down to who can keep the middle VP the longest.
Possibly. Then again, the way that Von Ivan is going for T-70s, he might be thinking he wants to sort of pressure the flanks that way, sort of slowly grinding down Otto Carius. That seems to be more his playstyle. Also with those two heavy mortars, it's very much feels like a grind kind of play.
Yeah. Another Zis coming out. I don't really know what Von Ivan's options are. I feel like everything that he can do can be countered. Do you have any suggestions of things that Von Ivan would do that would help in this current situation?
Well, I kind of feel again it's going to be centered around the heavy mortars, and the T-7 is going to come around to basically just killing as much infantry as possible, isolating the tanks, and then dealing with them that way. Though I think he should try and sort of catch the Stukas of Foost off guard with his tanks, knock it out. If he can do that, he's got a lot more sort of ground to know about it, and then can sort of deal with the Panther much more to his sort of benefit. Yeah,
that's true, but we do see Otto Carius, he's keeping his Panther pretty defensively, keeping it near his Stuka, which I think is a good way to use it, because Lungers is very small, and not only is it small, but there's also a lot of roads. And that means that the T-34 and the T-70 is going to be very fast and very mobile. We do see the what's it called? The artillery flares coming out, and that's going to be giving vision. And that's revealing these Zis guns, and the Stuka is firing. He may wipe both of the Zis guns. Nice play from Otto. This is very bad news for Von Ivan. He actually won't lose either of those Zis guns, but the damage was done onto the guns, so he will have to repair them with his engineers. And it's going to be a bit of reinforcing. So, very, very potent play, combining the artillery flares to give vision, so the Stuka would reveal. And the thing with the flares, the reason why they're so strong, is because it's not as obvious as a recon plane. When you pop a recon plane, you're like, oh, he has recon, he can see my stuff, and you move his guns. But the artillery flares, it's very subtle. It does have a noise, but it's very quiet and hard to hear. The Panther may wipe this T-7, is chasing it down, gets behind the hedge. Will it be a shot blocker? Zis guns...
Well, he's just about to run into 3 anti-tank, and including like hitting that face stole while you were basically talking about the Stuka Sufus.
As I was saying, so when the flares comes down, you don't always know it's there. So you don't necessarily know to move away your weak units. We do see some salvages coming out from Otto. Nice move. Will give him some fuel. Will help him rush out that King Tiger. I'm assuming that's what he's going for.
Well, at this stage, it's not really much of a rush when it's almost 40 minutes into the match.
Not a rush when he's going for with the Stuka and the Panther as well, but I think it's optimal. Because the King Tiger, it's going to be great against both the tanks and the AT guns. It's very multi-purpose, whereas, say, a Panther's generally pretty dedicated anti-tank. Not very good against this guns.
Well, a King Tiger would certainly be able to deal with Von Ivan rather efficiently, since Von Ivan had very little sort of serious deal with it. Plus, with a Panther and a Stuka Sufus to support that King Tiger, it would be very difficult to deal with.
If there's a King Tiger, especially if there is a Stuka as well, I think Von Ivan's going to need to have an Su-85. But at this stage, Von Ivan, he isn't topping up his fuel. He really just wants to spam out these vehicles, so he isn't really planning for it. We do have the T-34 and the Panther both pretty low with a damaged engine. The T-34 is going
Not sure
down.
why he decided to
He rammed
there.
it. Yeah. So is that actually immobilized, or is it just regular light engine damage?
It's
so
regular engine damage.
there's nothing there. This is
T-34
moving
got
up.
abandoned.
Actually, this could be a fantastic play.
Panther to not catch him with field guns. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Oh, nice. And now the rear
That was
armor.
actually pretty clever.
He's gonna lose his abandoned.
Yeah,
Oh wow! Well, all of a sudden,
that false carrier is calling it a command panther.
and the Stuka comes through. What will it wipe? Both of those disc guns. That's a nice Stuka shot. And this Panther.
But at the loss of a panther, I'm not entirely sure that was worth it in the end.
That command Panther was a really good response.
Ivan can get away with it.
Oh, rams it! What? I think it's actually a good move because now he has the Panther, but it's a damaged engine, so he can't really escape it. The Panther command tank also has a damaged engine, so he can chase it at the same speed. And with all of these Volt Shreks moving up, he may have to try and use his mortars to smoke the Panther, but the mortars are on the other side of the map. And he has lost one of them as well. Not really sure how. Did you see that mortar be wiped?
No, I did not see it. I'm guessing it was a kidnapper. Oh, it's back in his base. Now this is Veteran T3, so I'm going to guess that was the kidnapper they did it in.
Yeah, that's that Panther gone. So, Von Ivan pretty much threw away everything. It was a nice play, and it would have been okay if he didn't lose both of those Zis guns to the Stuka, because then if he had the Zis guns, he could have held on against that command tank. So I don't think Otto wanted the command Panther, he wanted the King Tiger, but he needed it, otherwise that Panther would have got away, especially with the T-34 as well.
So in that regard, Von Ivan was able to force Otto Carius' hand, which did give him a bit of bit of time.
Another T-70 coming out, Von Ivan definitely committing to this T-70 play.
Yeah, and Otto Carius is just spamming Fox Gunners at this point.
And then Vet 0, so they will dive pretty fast to these Vet 3 conscripts.
And the T-70.
Yeah, he may wipe that one, and if he can get a Shrek on his cons, it'll be very strong against the Panthers, as they do lack
there we
T-3.
go. But another Panther T-70 cooked up.
So
Casualties just mounting up.
This game is just carnage. There's just so many squad wipes and so many vehicle wipes as well. Did lose his T-70. He really should destroy that because otherwise it can be salvaged, giving more fuel in the bank of Otto. Still, look at the map. Von Ivan has the majority of it.
And he's got both fuel points more or less under his thumb.
I think what Von Ivan could do at this stage is if he just spams out T-34s, and if he gets a lot of combat engineers, he can kind of just play the map territory repair game, where you don't necessarily kill the Panther. Because of the frontal armor, it's hard to trade efficiently. But if you just have a lot of them and you just have a lot more repairs, you can force the engagements, back them all off, force the repairs, and since you have more engineers, you can just keep your tanks on the field, keep the territory, keep the VPs. Because I think Zis guns are futile with that the Stuka, sorry. I think it's going to be just a waste of time trying to rebuild them.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any infantry-based AT as the Soviets unless he steals a Shrek. So I don't really know how he's going to try and play this one. Again, I said that a few times now, and he's been holding on.
Yeah, Von Ivan is full of surprises this match.
He sure is.
Then again, he's also able to sort of, well, quickly strike there what he feels Otto Carius is weak, and he's actually doing quite reasonably. Again, it's the infantry. It's constantly the infantry with the T-70s. I mean, people like to underestimate the T-70, but the T-70 is excellent at murdering infantry.
Yeah, probably the best squad wipe on retreat in the game. Oh, the Panther's coming through. It has extra vision with the command Panther. This looking like a dead T-70 to me. He may land the AT grenade, but really will it keep the T-70 alive at this stage?
And he's got no anti-technology by support.
Yeah, it bounces. Now it's on cooldown. He can't use it.
Panther's
there we go.
70 down.
Very, very strong tank destroyer with that crazy vision that it gets. 50 range, it's almost a Jackson.
Yeah. Or an H-35.
But with a turret.
Too much.
Oh, he may lose that mortar. Yep, he loses his mortar. He rebuilt the mortar. So he's got two of them, which I don't think I liked against the Stuka, but...
The Stuka's gaining veterans he wants, and now it's going to be barraging faster.
I think Stukas have the most ridiculous vet timing. They take so long to vet. I don't think I've ever seen a Stuka more than vet 3.
The thing is, at the same time, he doesn't need anything more than Veterancy 2, because both of those delay, well, to make it shoot faster, the rest doesn't really do anything necessary.
That's true. Longer range doesn't really help on this map. Incendiary rockets. That's not really that great. The Veterancy bonuses.
It's like, it costs 100 munitions, why would you want to use that when you just use regular rockets?
Well, he stole the heavy mortar. Gets wiped, but he'll be recaptured, no problems.
Oh, got cleared out and he got the damage in the Stuka. So Fuss.
Yeah, it looks as though Von Ivan is looking for the VPs. That's a nice move. He has all 3 of them captured. Can he stall this long enough? I think at this stage he may need to get Obers to deal with these conscripts, because they have more veterancy. These Volksgrenadiers, I think they're pretty even, Volksgrenadiers and conscripts overall, but whoever has the most veterancy will win. And because the conscripts are veterancy 2 and 3, they'll definitely win at this stage.
Yeah, plus there's still the heavy mortars, which are getting back in the fight slowly.
Yeah.
Enemy forces are capturing our supplies.
Now we got another T-3476 there for Von Ivan.
It's a very tense game.
Yeah. It's definitely not your usual game in certain aspects, though. The Volksgrenadier spam at this point is perhaps more common for the Oberkommando.
How much fuel do we have? Not really much. So at this stage, Otto has been decapped all his territory, so he can't really afford any more tanks. I think a Panzer II Lux would be fantastic, but he doesn't actually have a Panzer headquarters. That's not really an option.
No, his only option.
Oh, he can't go Obers, of course. Yeah, he doesn't have his Panzer headquarters, so he's really just restricted to this Volksgrenadier spam without any Obers. Unless he does go for his Panzer headquarters, which might not be a bad idea, because then he can lock down this right VP.
No, not too bad there.
There's also a IL-2 strafe available, so we can use that to prolong the infantry engagements. T-34 is getting pretty close to the Stuka. Where is the Panther? Back at the base, not about half HP.
We got a strafing run going in. Quickly suppressing a lot of Carius' in troops.
Oh, Otto lost his conscript squad. He's only got 1 left.
Yeah, he's replacing it though. Another Sturmovik crash.
So far the middle VP has been captured back, but it won't last for very long, it seems.
Yeah, Carius is getting a 6th Volksgrenadier squad again.
Yeah, he's really desperate to hold these.
He's just churning out infantry in an endless stream because that's all he can do. I mean, there's nothing else that really works for him. I mean, the infantry gun wouldn't make any sense at all, and neither would the infantry half-track, which rather leaves him with a Jagdpanzer or a flak half-track or something like that, and all that costs fuel, which he barely has.
I think a Sturm Pioneer would be nice for extra repairs. The Panther, again, isn't as active as it should be. The Panther should be controlling the map, and the reason why it isn't is because of the repairs. The Regiment Panzer headquarters doesn't repair very fast. It's a very slow repair speed, like compared to Sturm Pioneers with the Minesweeper for their extra repair speed. A lot of Volks, but only 1 Shrek. Heavy Mortar is doing so much damage, he really shouldn't be blobbing when there are heavy mortars on the field. And he will force that one away. Panther's coming in. Rekenwerfer gets the rear armor shot. Garrison gets destroyed. Zis is moving up as well. This Panther's getting caught out of position.
Yeah, and now's the field gun as well from another, the Sis. And there we go, Panther, less than half health.
Yeah, and it's going to take a long time to repair it because it doesn't have any Sturm Pioneers. Only has that Regiment Panzer headquarters.
Need to get some Sturm Pioneers instead of all those Volksguns will also be aided a bit more versus the conscripts.
Yeah, and good at forcing off Zis guns. Volks can't really wipe AT guns where Sturm Pioneers definitely can. Also, I think it's probably a bit too late now with how little the VPs are, but I think rebuilding the Panzer headquarters, even if it's somewhere safe in the base for Obersoldaten, would be very strong. Now that the Panthers is becoming a bit of a beast with the veterancy, the T-70s aren't really an option anymore, so they're going to be a bit safer now, especially as the heavy mortars aren't as effective because the Stuka, he now has a lot more opportunity to make use of these Obers.
Indeed, indeed.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, he's gaining another T-3476, Mr. Von Ivan, though.
Stuka's firing. He's going for the heavy mortar. Yeah, he wipes it. The heavy mortars won't work anymore. That's what the Stuka does. The Stuka basically prevents you from using any kind of support weapon. It just changes the dynamic of the matchup so much.
And interesting enough, Phenomen's really done nothing to say sort of hunt it down. I mean, I think a quick rush with T-34 could probably deal with it rapidly.
Yeah, because he will probably lose the T-34 to the Panther, but if you can exchange the T-34 for the Stuka, it's definitely worth it. And he knows that there isn't any Sturm Pioneers. The Sturm Pioneers have not been rebuilt, which means there's no mines. So he's very safe to go for that sacrifice. I think the suicide would be definitely worth it. Even if he goes through the base on the left flank, or if he just goes up here, he can kill that Stuka pretty quickly if he catches the Panther out of position. And looks like he's going for the engagement now. The T-34 in the front. It has its retreat blocked. He's going for the ram. He won't land it. He's retreating.
Yeah. Still, the Panther's taking heavy damage.
And the Rekenbev is firing. Yeah, I think this is a bold move. He can maybe even kill it with a ram. How low is it? Is it low enough? Not quite. Cruise Shock didn't even destroy the engine. A bold gamble by Von Ivan, which almost pays off. Rekenbev is moving in. Can he wipe this one? He needs to. Doesn't have the range. He's actually getting the Stuka. Otto backs it away.
Yeah, but still...
Von Ivan really is suiciding these units.
That will certainly help a bit. Still, he just handed away 2 tanks. That's going to help Otto Carius here.
Yeah.
He should have tried to flank instead and sort of catch things off guard instead of fronting the assault.
Yeah, definitely. Flanking is very valuable, not only for the rear armor, but I think also the main underlooked advantage of flanking is then you can block it off. If you have one T-34 that just sits behind the Panther and prevents the Panther from reverse moving, it's a lot harder for it to escape and to get caught, and then it just dies. Stuka's going in once again. Not going to hit everything, it seems. Oh yeah, hits a bit of the conscripts.
Yeah.
Still, the VPs are getting pretty slim.
Yeah, things still
for
rather close.
Otto.
And we actually got Vet 2 there and the Panther increasing its armor.
Oh, he wipes that Vet 3 cons. These squads just aren't staying alive for very long.
No. It's definitely a problem.
Still no Sturm Pioneers. Otto has plenty of manpower.
Yup. I mean, he says again, just throwing out Volksgrenadier squad after Volksgrenadier squad. He's just churning them out as if though he was the Soviet army. Ironically.
Yeah. So the Panther's moving out only with half of its HP, so really not having enough time to get fully repaired.
Yeah.
But it will be forcing away the T-34 once it shows its face up.
Yeah, then again there's also the veteran 2 Rekenbev, and that completely force away the Panther on the other hand.
When it's only half health, you gotta be careful with that Panther. Has the Blitzkrieg, so it is relatively safe. Even if it's caught out of position, it can just blitz and reverse.
Or he could just blitz past it.
Or blitz past it, yeah, that's definitely an option. Building some more conscripts.
Yeah, that's probably what Von Ivan needs. He can't really get much else though, since he lacks the fuel for it.
Yeah. And also bear in mind, there are PPSHs available.
Yeah, but he's not...
And I think PPS...
Yeah, they might help.
Sorry?
In fact, but he's not used a single one in this battle.
No, he hasn't, which is interesting. I think PPSHs are good for, like, freshly built Vet 0 squads. Because PPSH, they don't really need veterancy. And what I mean by that is, if you have a Vet 0 conscript squad, you will never beat a Vet 2 or Vet 3 Volksgrenadiers, and vice versa. A Vet 0 Volks will never beat a Vet 0 cons. But if you have a Vet 0 conscripts, and if they have PPSHs, there are certain situations where they can definitely beat Volks. Even if it's a Vet 3 Volk squad, if they ambush it, get up close, it will force the retreat. And so that's why it can be valuable in that late game, because then you can make use and definitely have those Vet 0 squads having an impact, where you otherwise wouldn't see them really contribute much, other than just bleeding manpower.
Indeed, indeed. And now we got Veteran 2 for the Stukas of Fuss.
Still not really able to hold these VP. Sturm Pioneers have finally been rebuilt, And I think these are going to be fantastic against these conscripts with the 0 vet.
Yeah. Plus we got the Panther there joining in the fun. The question is, will it be too late now for Otto Carius to sort of really get back in the fight?
He has the vet 2 as well on the Stuka, so he can be firing a bit quicker.
Indeed, indeed. He's got plenty of fuel, so I could, you know, consider some few things there, sort of support things. Flak half-track could maybe use to sort of hold down a point and guard it.
Yeah. I think he'll just lose it too quickly to the T-34 and the AT guns.
Maybe.
But it is nice at buying time, especially if he just camps it on that back VP.
Yeah.
Going in for the AT grenade. Doesn't penetrate the frontal armor. It generally won't with that Vet 2. You need to flank the rear armor if you want to get that AT grenade on that Vet 2 Panther.
Pretty much.
Pretty big push out from Otto.
Yeah, Otto really needs to go all out. He's got less than 50 points left. Can't really afford much sitting back anymore. Also, interesting thing to note though, Otto Carius, while having gone special operations, he really hasn't used infiltration tactics at all. He's been relying solely on regular grenades.
No, he hasn't, yeah.
Which is a bit odd.
Bit of a grouping up on the left side. Here comes the Panther. He's going into both of these AT guns. Why is he going for this engagement when he needs to camp the VPs? He will get it very low. He has to back away. He will need to repair that. And that's going to be buying. Oh, he loses that Vet 2 Panther. That was a huge throwaway for Otto. All of a sudden, T-70s can come out and completely dominate this map. Von Ivan has the free reign. There isn't really any AT on the field, only a single Shrek and a single Raketenwerfer.
Well, 1 more minute.
Double T-70.
Yeah, double T-70.
Double T-70. Wow, what a throwaway for Otto.
Yeah.
When he was so low on VPs, why would he try and find those engagements? He should be camping and waiting for the T-34 to engage onto him. The Command Panther, it has the extra range, it has the extra armor. You don't need to be aggressive when you have the Command Panther.
Carius did, and he drew straight into the line of 5 anti-tank guns, and he did not blitz away and then as soon as it happened. Instead, he...
Yeah, he didn't blitz in, he didn't blitz forward. A bit frustrating now, because this long epic game I think is going to go to Von Ivan, because he just... Now, all of a sudden, what is the response to this vehicle play?
Yeah. Von Ivan's T-70 is just...
Now he can probably even...
We're just going to tear apart everything, plus he's got a veterancy fleet, Raketenwerfer too.
He can probably just go straight for the Stuka. Now that there's no Panther defending it, he can probably just go kill it.
I'm guessing he'll go for another Command Panther. He's got the fuel for it.
Yeah, he might have to. Still, Otto isn't out of this game just yet. T-70 has a nice ambush on the left side. It has found some juicy vaults. Raketenwerfer moving up to prevent the wipe on retreat. A nice response. VPs are being ticked down for Von Ivan, the right side being capped up though.
Yep. But Von Ivan's really just pushing forwards on all fronts now and wiping units left and right.
These AT guns are being forced away. Here's another T-70. That's 2 on the field. Only 1 squad of combat engineers, but it does have the veterancy too, so we'll be repairing faster than normal. And that is the Command Panther back again. A glimmer of hope does shine for Otto. Loses that Raketenwerfer. T-70 is very, very potent at wiping those AT guns. Command Panther's moving in.
Yeah.
Does have the vision. Lots of sight range on that Command Panther. Only 2 shots to take it out.
There you go.
Does miss pretty often at long range.
Panther is accurate. It looks like the T-70 does escape here.
Oh, there's this gun won't. He should either salvage that or destroy it with his Shreks.
At this range, it might not work to sort of salvage it. He's probably... No, he's just putting...
Yeah, he has 2 Shreks on that squad, so he can actually just force fire it down. I think it only takes 4 Shreks, which will be 2 volleys, but now he walked into the base MG, so he's going to have to retreat from that one. Meanwhile, the Raketenwerfer was recaptured, did fire onto the Stuka, but does back away for now. Command Panther doesn't have the Pintle MG just yet, so won't be very effective against the AT guns.
Only firing vehicles.
Yeah, so it won't even fire with his turret-mounted MG.
We got Von Ivan holding the northern victory point with a demo charge.
Nice. And only 27 VPs. The pressure, it really is on for Otto. There isn't much room for error when he has this low. He has a lot of Shreks, and the Panther wipes the T-70. The second T-70 looking like it's in a lot of trouble as well.
Steroids killing
there it goes, out of control. But Von Ivan, sorry, Otto, he can't tunnel vision. He needs to get this VP. Demo, he may wipe that Volk squad out. Is it within range? I think he's trying to bait it.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's just trying to bait the Volks, I think. He's walking into the base. He's going to walk into the flax. Yeah, he's going to detonate it. Probably won't wipe it. Don't know if it'll detonate at this range. It may get 3 models, maybe not the last 2. He's lost vision now, so he can't detonate it.
Well, he can detonate, but he won't know if you've smoothed it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Stuka's firing. Nothing's there though.
Moving everything up in just one horde. But sadly, Otto Carius didn't know that, so he's just killing medics.
Yeah, you really want to have a Stuka barrage when you see a blob like that.
Yeah, now he won't have it. He's got 16 points left.
Stim Pioneer is very, very powerful, clearing out that VP in the middle.
I don't think he'd be able to help.
This push may well change the game. That T-34 needs to be repaired. It's very, very low. Oh, I heard a demo. Did you hear demo?
Yeah.
I think it was a demo.
There's a huge hole in the ground now.
Oh, fuel point. Fuel point. Yep, that's where it was. So only 3 squads of Volks, rebuilding more Volks as well. He wants to get this VP back. 2 squads of Volks defending it, so he probably can't take it on his own.
Nope. But he's moving up more and more.
Oh, nice!
Oh!
He Molotov them so they walked into the demo, and he gets that wipe. Now there's only 2 squads left.
Yeah.
The other advantage of having Stim Pioneers is then you can have more Minesweepers to reveal those demos.
Indeed, but Carius hasn't really been making much use of them at all. He's just been caught up in the Fultz Condir spam.
T-34 is almost finished its repair, so it should be able to join the action and start fighting over these points. I really would like to see sandbags as well. I think something that Otto should have been doing is putting defensive sandbags so we can hold these VPs a bit easier.
Yeah, but overall Otto has really made much use of sort of the abilities of the Orbital Commander Vest.
Oh, nice. Stuka, he gets the Con Squad and the Rakit Viffer as well.
That's not too bad.
Nice angle.
That's not too bad. But this is a very desperate defense by Otto Carius. I don't think it's one he's going to win. Von Ivan simply has too much he can throw at him now.
4 squads, and they are veterancy too, which can give them a pretty big edge.
Plus anti-tank weapons and tanks.
Yeah. 2 T-34s, I think that's a pretty good number. He can't kill the Panther with 2 T-34s, but he can force it off. With that many, especially with the AT guns, and that's all he needs to do. Does lose a conscript squad, so Otto definitely isn't out of this game just yet. And this Stuka is very heroic, 44 kills.
Yeah, though I wouldn't say much
but I think
heroics about, you know, throwing rockets from a safe distance.
Doesn't exactly require much bravery.
Not really.
Otto, he's not prioritizing these VPs. He's capturing a fuel point, building sandbags on munitions when he needs to be holding these VPs.
Yeah, I think Otto Carius lost sight of things there, and that might prove fatal.
That's the Stuka, but surely Ivan's hearing it. He must be hearing it. Yeah, he's moving away from it. Nice work. It's buying time. Gets missed completely. Nice dodge. This is firing, and a lot of these AT guns, even a rear armor on that Panther. AT grenades are available. This is bad news, and that's the Panther command tank out of position. And T-34 stinks to kill.
Yeah, kaput. And that's GG.
Yeah, that looks like GG here. These T-34s forcing off the infantry. Now, if Von Ivan doesn't kill the Stuka, then he is missing his opportunity. And that's a Shrek on the ground, just to add insult to injury. This is definitely Von Ivan turning this one around. That Stuka, he's been alive for long enough. There we go. Even an AT gun. Oh, no, not quite. Just the T-34. There we go. Stuka's destroyed. That's GG.
Yep,
that's a wrap.
There we go. Otto Carius surrendered. Game over. Defeat to Germany.
Well played by Von Ivan, but I think Otto definitely didn't have the best unit choices. I think if he just rebuilt his Obers, like after he lost that Panzer headquarters, he would have been able to hold the map.
Well,
and as I mentioned earlier, I think earlier Sturm Pioneers would have been very valuable for more reasons than just repairs.
Well, overall, Otto Carius had a lot of options to have won this, but, you know, he never went for a King Tiger. he never, for example, made use of all of his abilities. There was, for example, no infiltration tactics. He kept using the regular grenades instead of the cheaper.
Which cost more.
That too. And overall, he also played passively. So in that regard, I just felt like Otto Carius didn't really play much of an optimal game there compared to Von Ivan, who, despite all of his mistakes and accidents, slowly but surely pulled through and just kept wiping entire Volkswagen squads within minutes.
Yeah, what an absolute baller. Like, that many T-70s. It's very, very rare that you see T-70s, let alone multiple T-70s. I think we had, 6 or 7 that game, which is absolutely crazy and very bold. But I think it was kind of relying on Otto having a bit of a janky playstyle. But that'll wrap this up, I think. Any last words?
Not particularly.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a blast casting with you.
Same to you, same to you. Been fun, been interesting.
Alrighty, well, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for some more Company of Heroes 2 action. Of course, Von Imperial Dane, he has his own channel, and it's much bigger than mine, so check his out as well if you like Company of Heroes 2. That's basically all he posts, so a lot more than what I do. And I think with that, we will say our farewells. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.
Cheers.